On a cool fall evening in 1866, three men hop on a steam train just as it leaves the depot. But they're not your average passengers, and they're not here for a ride. Their destination? The express delivery car. They open the door, Colt 45s in hand. The stunned guard follows their orders. The thieves grab the loot and force the engineer to slow the train. The trio leaps off the locomotive with $10,000 in gold. Welcome to America's first train robbery by its first outlaw gang.
Welcome to Heist Club, where we've got a new heist story coming at you each week. We're here to uncover the details behind some of the most audacious and ridiculous robberies of all time. How they pulled it off, how they got caught, and the mysteries that remain. Bank heists, art heists, diamond heists, and other capers you won't believe. I'm Jesse.
And I'm Todd.
Welcome to the club.
Good afternoon, Jesse.
Hello, Todd. How's it going? How are you?
You ask those questions very quickly. It's like you don't care about the answers.
How's it going? How are you? What's going on? What's the temperature outside?
What's up? What happened this morning? What did you eat for breakfast? How many questions can I ask quickly?
Sorry, you're right.
Wait,
right.
Go back one by one. Good. Not much. Eggs.
No.
Yes. I don't know. What? No. Never. How dare you? I am done with this podcast. I quit.
You're right. I should be more sincere. Todd, is good to see you.
Hi, Jesse.
Hello.
I like your choice of shirt today.
Oh, thank you. I'm rocking the Valcomer. I'm rocking the Tombstone. I found a bolo tie. I'm ready to go.
You found a bolo tie because we are doing a Western heist today. The Old West, Manifest Destiny, all that stuff.
Yep.
Not a gang that most people know, though. This is not the James gang, which I'm sure we'll do at some point. But I think people will learn a lot about the Reno gang today and just, the history of train robberies, if you would. Jesse, pardon me if I'm incorrect, but the Western genre is not your favorite film genre. Am I wrong?
I need to watch more. I've seen some of the classics, and in my head, it's kind of all blurs into the same thing of a really macho man that doesn't speak, and then there's like 45 minutes where he needs to ride a horse where nothing happens. I feel like that's every Western movie.
Well, but it's not. I mean, that's clearly genres have certain staples, and then it's about how they play with it. I don't think Blazing Saddles has that plot line.
You're right. No, I know there's 1,000 exceptions. I just need to find the right ones or rewatch the ones I already did.
Yeah. I think you should give it a chance. I mean, I feel like the Western is definitely not as appreciated today as it was many years ago. Obviously, there's not as many made, and the ones that are made, are not always successful and not always as strong. And they are often, I think, maybe not defying the rules, but leaning into them because people don't even know the rules anymore. So I think it's probably a fair reaction to recent ones, but I don't know. I still think, in film school, you watch a lot of Westerns. There's a lot of classics in the space. There's a lot of John Ford and Sam Peckinpah. And, we don't, we should probably just get into our story, but, I'm sure you've seen Butch Cassidy. Butch Cassidy is very different too,
Right.
McCabe and Mrs. Miller, also amazing and not that at all. So,
okay. No, I know. I just don't know what I'm talking about. I'm very aware of that,
But then there are ones just like Wild Bunch where it's like, oh yeah, there's going to shoot a lot of and isn't that fun, So,
right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's get into our story then. Today, we're going back in time to discover America's first big organized posse of outlaws, the Reno Gang, who collected what would be nearly $5 million today across all their crimes. And the Reno Gang is actually a family business. Parents Wilkinson Reno and Julia Ann Reno raised their family on a 1,200-acre farm in Rockford, Indiana. I tried to look up something interesting about Rockford, Indiana, and the only interesting thing I could find was the Reno Gang. So if you live in Rockford, Indiana, if you've been to Rockford, Indiana, if there's something else there, write us, but also go to the Wikipedia page for Rockford, Indiana and add it. Because I was hoping did you know that world champion figure skater was from there? I don't know anything. I was hoping there was some type of fun fact. I could not find a fun fact. So the Reno Gang really dominates that bastion of the internet. So Wilkinson and Julia Ann had 6 children from 1837 to 1851. Frank was born in 1837, followed by John, Simeon, Clinton, and William. And then Laura, the baby and only girl, was born in 1851. And the Renos were considered pretty well-to-do by their neighbors and were religious, very religious, according to the second-born, John, second-born of the family, not religiously. He and his siblings were forced to read the Bible all day, every Sunday. But it's a lot of reading any day of the week, and it's a lot of reading of the Bible.
All day.
Yeah, all day. Before we get started, we have to make a note about two of the siblings. Laura Reno was not a criminal like her brothers, but was considered to be just as wild, and she helped hide their identities. So I guess not an official member, but not a saint, if you would. And then Clinton was known as Honest Clint because he stayed away from the life of crime and took care of the family farm while his brothers ran amok. So it sounds like Honest Clint, actually a good dude somehow. The Renos raised one boy who followed the law. Followed the Bible, maybe too. These were some dastardly boys otherwise, though. Frank, the oldest, is a natural leader and is as calculating as he is violent. That's scary. John has a wild side, but his lack of intelligence makes him less intimidating. Okay, we're just putting it out there. Not the smartest guy. And then Simeon runs on a hair trigger. Anything could set him off, and I don't think we'd want to be there when he gets triggered, you know?
I don't want to mess with any of these guys.
I know, exactly. No, I'll be with the smart and violent one. Let's hang out with that guy.
Yeah.
I know we're describing real people, but this does sound like a cast of people in a Western, you know? There's always the gunslinger. It's like, don't say something wrong, or my boy Jesse over there will shoot you at the drop of a hat.
That's me.
That's you, Jesse. And then Little William, oh, he sounds sweet. He didn't have a strong moral center like Clint, and he wanted to follow his brothers, but he's not the violent type. So actually, maybe the best of those four, but not better than Clint. And then it all starts with the older brothers, Frank and John, scamming travelers in crooked card games. And they're not even young adults or teenagers at this point. They're both under 10. And then when John was just 11, he stole a horse and rode to Louisville and then to New Orleans, which seems far. I did not look up the distances, but
that seems absolutely insane to me.
At 11. I mean, I know like they rode horses all the time. It was probably, it was a part of the thing. But Louisville and New Orleans seemed quite far.
Yeah, that's,
I mean, like even to know where to go, right? Even to know like downtown New Orleans, here I come. Like, I mean, maybe actually, maybe that's easy because you follow Mississippi River. But in general, I feel like that's quite a ride for an 11-year-old.
No, I think it's insane. It makes me feel like I haven't done anything my entire life.
Yeah.
Hearing that an 11-year-old just got on a horse. I've never even sat on a horse. That's just insane to me.
Yeah. I mean, today it'd probably be someone stealing a car and getting those places. And maybe that's easier because like there's signs everywhere. I don't know. I'm not imagining that there were not signs everywhere saying this way to New Orleans when you were riding a horse, right?
You're right. Yeah.
It was just the open prairie. But John did return a year later, which is a long time.
Yeah.
And apparently, like he wasn't even missing home. He was just most likely out of funds because soon after he stole some cash from his parents and then was off again for a bit. So
man,
this is John. Remember, he has a wild side and he has a lack of intelligence. So, I mean, he's just go, hey, I'll just figure it out. I'll just go. And he did. So he went.
That's crazy.
And then their criminal tendencies didn't really come out of thin air. Like we said before, it's a family business. In 1851, mysterious fires broke out in Rockford and homes and shops burnt down left and right. And by 1858, nearly the entire town had been set ablaze. Coincidentally, the Reno family started buying up the burnt properties, now at a reduced price. I'm guessing not so coincidentally, we could say. Like, I guess it was setting the fires.
Yeah.
But then the brothers and their father skipped town for a few years when they thought the community was maybe mad at them. Yeah, maybe. I wonder why. Then they returned to Jackson County in 1860 and discover a new venture. And you could probably talk about that if you want.
Sure. Yeah. With the Civil War in full swing, the brothers get into a scheme called bounty jumping. Basically, when a wealthy person wanted to dodge the Civil War draft, they would pay someone to take their place. The brothers would take the check and desert after joining a regiment.
I wonder if that was the expectation, is that they wouldn't stay. Or the idea was, I'm not going to this war. You go die in it, and I will pay you and your family. You know? Do they know that?
I think that's what it is. But then they're just like, see you later. I'm not doing any of that.
Yeah. No, the Reno brothers do like, we're not sticking around to die. We got your money. If it's easy to desert, then just do that and, make some money out of it.
I know. Yeah. William, the youngest brother, returned to his regiment and served out his enlistment. I guess he found, I don't know, maybe he just found meaning in it. Being the only to receive an honorable discharge, he never had the heart of a true scammer.
Aw.
Aw.
For now. Sorry.
I
It's
know.
just a natural reaction.
He's not as cool as John, who just
No.
go off to New Orleans. I bet that was crazy. Just imagine being in New Orleans as a cowboy. And you just see like a child on a horse. That's
He's
insane.
also like, right, he's 11. Like, who's he living with? What's he doing? Is he making,
just-
he's just spending his money when he's there. I mean, like, were 11-year-olds just like going to saloons and drinking whiskey, or like, what is he doing? I don't know.
Give me a tallest glass of chocolate milk. Yeah, I don't know. But with the bounty jumping scheme, everyone else saw easy money. The first time went so well that they enlisted again using different names. So they just kept doing it. It was working out. The brothers were so good at it, they became brokers for wealthy draft dodgers and collected finder's fees for recruiting a replacement.
I mean, I will say this. I've never heard of this before. I don't know if have you ever heard of someone doing this in their place? I mean, it shouldn't shock me. I guess I just assumed the wealthy weren't even drafted. It was just like, oh, you're rich and just we won't ask you to fight.
Draft dodgers. No, that
But
makes
the
sense.
idea that there was a whole business out of taking people's places. I mean, it's probably true of other wars as well, but not something I heard about before.
Yeah, same. I have not heard of it. Sounds like a nice little scheme.
Yeah.
Nice little business. We should try it once the draft goes back.
It might not work as well these days. I assume it's harder with fingerprints and
Yeah, okay.
eye scanners and all the modern technology that we use. But it was easier back in the day when an 11-year-old could ride a horse in New Orleans. Anything was possible.
Missed opportunity from 200 years ago. Okay, yeah.
Oh, darn, if only we were alive then.
Yeah, a missed opportunity. But in 1864, they returned to Rockford. What to do now? They collected some bounty jumping buddies during the war who also followed them home. Oldest brothers Frank and John have an idea. Return to their old antics, but make it more organized. They have the numbers and the loyalty. Baby brothers Simeon and William are in. Their headquarters, the charred buildings of Rockford, and the dense woods that border the river.
It's interesting to me that the buildings are still charred. I mean, I assumed this is like 10 years after some of those buildings were burned. Like they knocked, they bought the properties, right?
Yep.
They knocked them down and they built new things. I don't know. They got the property, but I guess
They're just hanging out in dilapidated, like no roof, charred buildings. That's what I'm imagining. That's
not
funny.
imagining a town of that. Exactly. Same thing. Same.
Since Frank is the oldest and the smartest, he leads the gang's first robbery. He brings along bounty jumpers Grant Wilson and a guy named Dixon. Just a guy named Dixon. They hit up a post office and general store called Gilbert's Store. Great name. In a nearby town.
Yeah, I wonder who owned it. Who do you think owned it?
I think its name is Steve.
Oh, Steve. Gilbert owned the other one across the street.
Yeah. Exactly that one. Yeah. That was called Steve's Store.
Steve's. It's so confusing to
Isn't that
people.
silly? Okay. This wasn't a massive operation, more like a stick up. The newspaper called it a petty theft. They got caught almost immediately, but get released on bond with a trial date pending. They count not being permanently jailed as a success and keep pushing. So they're still going. Since they're out of jail, it's time for more robberies. They stick to post offices and businesses at first, but branch out to home invasions. But Grant Wilson gets caught and is eager to squeal to save himself. The brothers' response is murder. They immediately kill Grant. They don't give him a chance.
There go all my ahs. All my oohs and ahs are gone now that they've killed Grant. I mean, I know Dixon survived, it sounds like, but not so much Grant.
They killed Grant. They didn't even give him a chance to skip town or recant his statement. Just a cold, quick kill. With no testifying witness, Frank and Dixon were acquitted for their first robbery. With this victory, it's time to branch out. They pivot to becoming roadside bandits, robbing travelers and merchants. They also dabble in a bit of counterfeiting. Now this is an operation. The gang attracts new members. At its peak, its membership reaches 50. They trade burnt-down buildings and thickets for the Raider House, a local hotel. Many hotel guests left the place with nothing but clothes on their backs. Some didn't leave at all, which is such a bummer. You check into a hotel like, oh no, this is a whole terrible business to rob me. That sucks.
Well, But it sounds like, yeah. I mean, your options were to leave with a clothes on your back, or not leaving at all means you've been killed too. So they're just killing people to take over the hotel.
Like Hotel California.
Yes, you may never leave.
You may never leave.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this is not a quiet way to go about running a gang, though. Maybe that's okay. Maybe it's a different time in the 1860s. I mean, in the movies, you see that, right? The whole town knows about the gang, and the police don't even come after them.
By the summer of 1865, the newspaper issued an official warning to travelers: be wary of thieves and assassins that infest the place. Frank was known to be eerily calm during his violent acts, and John and Simeon also seemed to be having a real good time committing crimes. Even though everyone knew who was committing these crimes, officials were too afraid to jail them, and witnesses kept silent in fear of their lives.
Not bad for a small-town Indiana crime ring, and some might be saying they're doing too well, because Jackson County residents have despised the Renos for over a decade, probably starting with when they started setting fires on their homes. You know, that would get their anger brewing.
Right.
But now it seems to be turning more homicidal. You kill, we kill. In August 1865, newspaper editor Dr. J.R. Monroe. I love that the newspaper editor was a doctor. I'm assuming
Dr. J.R.
Dr. J.R. Dr. J.R. Monroe called for vigilante justice, a doctor who was pro-vigilante justice. This was a different time. Against the Renos. He wrote, "Nothing but lynch law will save the reputation of this place and its citizens." Meaning he wants the citizens of Jackson County to take the law into their own hands. I assume this is because the police is not, because they're afraid of them.
Right.
But the Renos are not helping their case either, allegedly having murdered 3 people in the first half of 1866. But what is better PR than having someone worse than you show up? Probably other things, but this is the reference we'll make.
Right.
In 1866, Copperheads, not the snakes, but Southern sympathizers, move into town. And residents suspect that they're importing people from Kentucky to elect pro-South state legislators. So this is like a post-Civil War, post-Lincoln, the North won the war, but it's not over situation. The county's ire shifts from the Renos to their new neighbors. So what's worse, murdering people in town and setting fire to their homes, or voting for pro-South state legislators?
Or secretly being a snake.
Or secretly being a snake. Or being a copperhead. I feel like the copperhead is just being itself. It doesn't know that it's doing bad. It's just a snake being a snake, right? We can't judge the snake.
That's very poetic.
Yeah,
you're right.
Thank you. Anyway, with the state elections coming up on October 9th, there's no time to gather an angry mob and hunt down the Renos. They're too busy on the Copperheads. With the focus off of them, the Renos decide it's time to go bigger. Why not be pioneers in the outlaw industry? Why not?
Why not?
They're going to rob a train. They're going to rob a train. That's what they're going to do. By the way, this is crazy to me. So it's 1866, and no one has ever robbed a train before. Not a moving train, at least. You know, again, I mean, you and I are not experts in the West. Of course we would not be. But again, and we know movies do not always tell the truth. Sorry to tell you that. I know. I'm sorry. There is no Batman. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's not a documentary. That's not several documentaries. Okay.
No. I mean, the Pattinson one is a documentary, but all the other ones.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's
what lies. Yeah, you can tell. It's why it's longer. It's like 3 hours. You know, it's real time.
Long. Yeah.
But I mean, again, I just think we assume, based on all the movies we've seen, that it was happening all the time and happening early. 1866, post Civil War, in many ways feels like late in the Old West. You know, like. They're out there, you know, they're already laying claim, you know, the gold rush was 20 years before this in California or so around that.
That's true. But I mean, this is proto the gangsters we know. So there's still time to be a cowboy. And that's
cowboy.
And you can quote me on that. There's still time to be a cowboy.
Still time to be a cowboy. That's my favorite song you've ever written, Jesse.
Thank you.
There's still time to be a cowboy.
I got myself a country song.
But so, yeah, they're going to rob a moving train, which no one has ever done before. And we should point out the first regular carrier of passengers and freight was the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. And that was completed in 1827. So again, we're 40 years after that. So there's been time for robbers to try doing this. Some outlaws did take advantage of unguarded stationary trains at depots. We should point that out, especially during the Civil War. But they never made the leap to a high-speed robbery until here. And high speed at that time was 18 to 35 miles per hour, you know, which does not feel like high speed now, but like it's not nothing. It's not nothing.
I don't want to be walked going from train to train at 35 miles per hour.
Yeah. So they set their sights on Seymour, Indiana, a little town next door, and the Reno brothers are set to make themselves famous. Probably on purpose. Interestingly enough, though, the town and the Renos already have a connected past. You see in 1852 when Wilkinson, Reno, the dad, and his no good sons were allegedly setting their town ablaze. Landowner, I like this name, landowner Meady W. Shields. Meady, Meedy. I don't know if that's
Meady
short
is
for
a
something.
good name. It definitely caught my eye as well.
Short for Meaderlin, short for Meadenson. I don't know what it's short for. Meady.
Miko. No, I
Meady.
don't know. Meady. No idea. Medical.
Medieval Shields.
Medieval W. Shields.
Meady for short.
His middle name is the W stands for War. Medieval War Shields.
Oh my God, that's so good. His parents, huge history buffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Love medieval history. Yeah, they had a crib made of armor. So Meady W. Shields, medieval war shields. He saw an opportunity to start his own town after all those fires. Now that the other one's practically ash. So Shields wanted his town to become a hub. And what better way to do that than have the railroad come through? That makes sense.
And then he will open up in medieval times.
And he named the town Seymour after a railroad engineer, which feels like a missed opportunity named after something medieval, you know? But he named it after Seymour because he was hoping he would butter him up and make the town a railway center. So, hey, I named the town after you.
That's a good thing to do, I think.
Yep. The flattery worked, and they made Seymour an intersection for the Ohio and Mississippi Railroad and the Jefferson, Madison, and Indianapolis Railroad. That's on one, JM&I. Also remember, the Reno's headquarters, the Raider House, that's actually in Seymour, too. So it's a booming railway center in a small town and seemingly the perfect target for the Renos. They set the date, October 6, 1866, just a few days before the highly contentious state elections. Now, will they manage to sneak around the angry townspeople? We'll find out after this break.
Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
The Projection Booth is single-handedly the greatest film podcast you could ever listen to or could possibly want.
Top notch. 5 stars. This has quickly become one of my favorite film-related podcasts. Always interesting.
A completely unpretentious yet fully comprehensive look at films from all genres.
This podcast is an amazing resource and one that helps in the discovery or rediscovery of films for anyone who enjoys thinking about cinema.
If you love movies and podcasts, subscribe and enjoy the Projection Booth.
Every episode is beautifully crafted to give you a true audio experience, a wonderful companion to the films they cover.
The Projection Booth is awesome. A wide range of films covered from classic to cult to contemporary, thoroughly researched, very entertaining, and always informative.
Projection Booth Podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
Welcome back. After spending a year robbing travelers and businesses, our band of brothers decide to up the ante, be the first to rob a moving train. On October 6 at 6:30 p.m., John, Simeon, and Frank Sparks board an O&M railway train. Frank Sparks, not Frank Reno. Different
Frank.
Yeah.
So many Franks.
He was a bounty jumping pal of Reno's. Too many Franks. Not paying his passengers, they hop on right as it starts rolling away. The train travels a mile or two down the track and away from civilization. Now it's time to make their move. The trio leaves the coach car and advances to the Adams Express car. Adams Express is an express delivery company utilized by companies and the public for deliveries. They overtake the messenger, the guy in charge of sorting shipments. Unfair fight, I might say. 3 armed men against 1 surprised mailman. They force him to open an Adams Express safe at gunpoint with a Colt 45. According to Jackson County records, the safe contained one safe, the value of $30, 3 canvas bags of the value of $1 each, and then a big jump, $10,000 in gold coin and $33 in banknotes. Which one of these is not like the other?
Yeah, I think they were after the gold coin, but those canvas bags, I don't know. I mean, I would say $1 for a canvas bag. They cost that much back then? I would think they were a lot cheaper.
There's another much larger safe, which apparently contains valuables from St. Louis.
St. Louis.
St. Louis.
Fancy.
That's in Missouri.
The big city.
John, Simeon, and Frank Sparks all try to open it, but no luck. And the terrified messenger couldn't open it either. A lot of help the messenger is. They roll that safe out the door, and they'll deal with it later. With nothing left to take, they pull the bell rope to signal the engineer to stop the train. As it slows, they roll their unlocked safe out the door, off the train, and jump off after it. One of them yells, "All right," to the engineer, and the train picks up speed again. The trio gathers the contents of their open safe and hike down the track for the larger safe. Only this time, they will have help. This isn't just a 3-man operation, you see. William, Frank Reno, and some other gang members arrive at the drop-off point with gateway vehicles, which are horses.
They're not gateway. They're not gateway. Gateway drugs.
A gateway vehicle is a horse. Once you jump on a horse, you're really going to want a car.
When you kind of think about it, maybe a horse is a gateway vehicle. It is a step towards a car.
It's a step towards a car, yeah.
Yeah, marijuana is a step towards heroin, and a horse is a step towards a car.
Once you get on a horse.
Horse is a gateway. Horses are a gateway, too. Anyway.
Yeah. Time to get the safe open. They have all the time in the world now. But why is the train stopping? The O&M wasn't just carting passengers and cargo. The route agent was on board as well.
Not the route agent. No.
Oh, the route agent.
He's the one that plants the trees, right?
Mm-hmm. That's pretty funny.
Different kind of route. Different kind of route. Okay.
The route agent.
Okay. The route agent.
Yeah.
You can pronounce it either way. It's fine. Yeah.
The route agent was on board as well. He's the manager of every aspect of the train. He smells something fishy when the train randomly slows, then picks up speed. So he orders the engineer to bring the train to a stop. He returns to Seymour, avoiding the gang, and brings back with him armed men aboard handcars. Handcars, I definitely didn't know what it was, but I had to look it up. It's the operated hand trucks that you see in silent movies and like Mickey Mouse cartoons and Blazing Saddles and Roberto Rauto.
Exactly. Like we you know what it is, but maybe you don't know the name for it in general. But it's exactly right.
The Renos are forced to abandon the safe to not be identified. But they ran away with $10,000 in gold, $202,000 today, plus those dollar canvas bags. Woo! Passenger George Kinney bravely steps forward to identify the robbers on board. John, Simeon, and Frank Sparks were arrested and promptly released on bail, $2,500 each, which is $55,000 today. That's more of a quarter of their ill-gotten gains.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Remember what happened to the witness Grant Wilson? Well, things did not go well for George Kinney. You can't be talking crap about the Renos. After his murder, the other passengers chose to stay quiet, so that shut everybody else up. With no witnesses, all charges were dropped. So it just took one swift or extra murder. What a win for the Renos. They made history and got away with it too.
Yeah, they got away with it. You're right. And for the next month, the Renos went on a celebratory spree, robbing county treasurer's offices and banks. They didn't always have a guard to open the safe for them. Sometimes they used trusty explosives. That's exciting. I wonder who was the explosives expert in the group. And fun fact, dynamite wasn't even invented until 1867. So they were actually ahead of the curve. They were ahead of the curve in many ways. But not so fast. The Adams Express Company would like its gold back. Not a shock. And they have just the guy for the job. The legendary Alan Pinkerton, basically a one-man FBI, if you've never heard of him. He's on the case. Pinkerton is a gritty, middle-aged Scottish immigrant. He started out as Abraham Lincoln's chief spy in the Civil War. He even thwarted Lincoln's first assassination attempt in 1861. And then he moved into the private detective space during peacetime, opening his Pinkerton Detective Agency in Chicago.
I've heard of Pinkertons, but I didn't know it stemmed from the OG Pinkerton.
Oh, had you heard of him or you hadn't heard of him either?
I haven't heard of him either.
I think I hadn't heard of any of it until, was it Deadwood season 2?
Interesting. I just know Pinkerton as like, I just think of it as like a private detective or a police figure in culture.
Oh, stuck around for a long time. That's true.
Yeah.
And then, like the Renos, the Pinkertons is a family business. Alan was grooming his sons, William and Robert, to take over. Pinkerton pioneered surveillance tactics, creating informant networks and deploying undercover agents. He's sharp-minded, cool-tempered, but also very paranoid, keeping a written dossier of friends and foes with names crossed out, added on, and switching sides quickly. He sounds like a middle school girl. I have my trapper keeper, and it's like, sorry, Katie, you're dead to me. Crossing off your name. But Jesse, you're back on my good side. You know, there's like the angels and the devils at the top.
Yeah, it's the burn book from Mean Girls.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pinkerton really was a instrumental
girl.
figure in so many ways, inspiring,
great SNL written movies.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. And musicals and remakes.
And musicals.
Yeah.
And musical remakes.
He did so much in such a short time on this planet.
Yeah. Thanks, Alan.
Okay. He's really like the cowboy detectives. He's not above bending the rules to solve a case or getting in a couple shootouts. His code is we never sleep.
It sounds like you never sleep and you just want that to be our code. Just because you only need 4 hours of sleep, dude, doesn't mean I don't need a solid 8.
We never sleep. We never sleep. Wake up.
I can't be a Pinkerton. I'm not made for this, Alan.
Yeah. If only he had a sound machine. If only sound machines were around then. Yeah. Maybe he could have blocked out all the noise of the wild animals at night that were keeping him awake. If public systems fail, basically Pinkerton's there to roll up his sleeves, do the dirty work on very little sleep. And he's not letting some no good train robbers get away. Well, we'll see about that. But we'll see about that because so far the Renos had gotten away, at least for now. But they might have bigger problems with the Pinkertons because on December 29th, 1866, a woman was murdered in her Jackson County home. The perpetrators were quickly caught and put in the county jail, but the townspeople were not having it. The Renos caused so much havoc and always got away. So even though these guys weren't part of the gang, all criminals were now the same in these citizens' eyes, and the public did not trust the law to prevail anymore. And now it's months after the election, so they've moved back on to, doing their lynch thing. So 3 months later, a mob of 300 swarms the jail, takes the 3 men, and hangs them on the courthouse lawn to death. Hangs them to death.
That's pretty bold.
Just to be clear.
Just hang them up just to chill?
No, just like they were a little wet. They wanted them to dry off.
Yeah, so here you go. They didn't put them up in hammocks?
No, they were like, oh, this is cozier. Those beds at the jail are so uncomfortable.
Thank you so much. I love the breeze in this courthouse lawn.
Yeah, they gave them lemonade with a straw. Yeah. They were living the life. Some grapes. They were feeding them grapes slowly.
Yeah, nothing more grim actually happened in real life.
And somehow in the morning, they were all dead from hanging. We don't know what happened, officer.
They're like, I hate grapes.
Oh, these grapes. Oh, they must have choked on the grapes. They were a choking hazard.
We figured it out.
The government tried to tell us. Anyway, the message was clear. Vigilante justice now made its home in Jackson County. And with vigilantes and undercover Pinkertons stalking the county, you would think the Renos would lay low. But no, they went and stole $70,000 worth of assets from treasuries. That's actually $1.4 million today. So serious money. In late September 1867, the Renos woke up to some interesting news. Another O&M train was robbed, but they were not the ones to do it. Turns out they got some copycats, and one of them, Walker Hammond, has eyes for John Reno's girl.
Not John Reno's girl.
So they're out to steal their ways of thieving and also their lady. John catches Hammond trying to persuade his girl to run off with him and the $8,000 he stole from the train, which is $173,000 today, so that's pretty good. And after a swift beating, John turns him into the police. The cash? Oh, he didn't find it, officer. Oh, John.
Oh, John.
What do you think his girl thought about him beating up Walker Hammond and taking his money? Is she like, oh, you're so strong, John? Or is she like, I'm not choosing between these two losers?
Like, okay, I got this one guy after me who is just copying the other guy I'm dating. This is awful.
This is not a good situation. No. Yeah.
I need to get on a horse and go to New Orleans.
Get on a horse and ride. Well, I hope she got out of town too. I don't know if she actually did that.
Yeah.
So with no more local treasuries to rob, the gang closes up shop and heads to Missouri in November of 1867. But, not to lay low, no. They immediately robbed the county treasurer there for $23,000, which is $500,000 today. Good money. But then John Reno gets recognized by a witness who by some miracle survives the ordeal. They love killing their witnesses. John books it back to Seymour, hoping to dodge Missouri lawmen. But when he hops off the train in Indianapolis, surprise!
Surprise!
He's swarmed by a half dozen Pinkertons who arrest him and then drag him back to Missouri. To thwart any acquittal by murder, the state of Missouri treats John to a swift trial, and he is sentenced to 25 years in the Missouri penitentiary. Citizens of Seymour now have a name for their angry mob. It's so funny. I know you had to brand your angry mob. You can't just be an angry mob. It's like, no, we need like a name. we need like T-shirts.
I know. I do love this part of the story. It makes me want to join an angry mob.
Yeah. I think you've watched like Frankenstein stuff. You just assume, these angry mobs come out of nowhere. No, it's actually months and months of planning, organization.
No, they have to name it. They have to sharpen their pitchforks.
There's a lot of work involved in the back end. They get short shrifted all these stories. But yes, they actually named themselves, and they are called the Jackson County Vigilance Committee, which sounds very prim and proper, a.k.a. the Scarlet Mask Society, which is a much cooler name. So the Scarlet Mask Society is now hungry for justice and are breaking into jails to do what the sheriff is too afraid to do. And then without their oldest brother, now Frank, Simeon, and William carry on, but maybe not in Jackson County. Those red masks are pretty scary. They try to hack it out west, way out west, Iowa, the Great West. So many Westerns set in Iowa.
I mean, I don't know, maybe. It sounds like a Western state. From February to March 1868, they succeeded in 3 more treasury heists, netting $50,000, $1.1 million today. They hide out in a fellow outlaw's home in Council Bluffs. That's the most Western town I've ever heard. It's a railway town.
Of course it is.
Council Bluffs. But Alan Pinkerton was Lincoln's top spy for a reason and catches up to them by the end of March. Alan's son William leads the raid on the house, catching Frank Reno and 2 other gang members, Albert Perkins and Miles Ogle. That's a cool name. Mm-hmm. Love a good name. He catches them in the act of burning all the cash on the stove. They didn't burn all of it in time and were thrown in the local jail. The Pinkertons now have 2 victories against the Renos. First John, now Frank. But now, April Fools! Literally, on April 1st, 1868, Frank and the others bust out of jail through a hole in the wall, thanks to baby brothers William and Simeon leaving the words April Fools in chalk. Which is crazy. I didn't know how old April Fool's Day was.
Same.
That's right. April Fool's Day dates back to at least the early 16th century and possibly even the English poet Chaucer in the late 14th century.
Crazy.
So it goes back. April Fools. What a fun, silly holiday. All right. So they're out. Back to Indiana they go. Now that the Pinkertons are properly pissed off, the Renos decide to go big for their next heist. Train Robbery the sequel. And like most sequels, it's bigger than the original. They set their sights 14 miles south of Seymour, the small refueling station in Marshfield, Indiana. Much lower chances of running into a handcar driving mob or red mask wearing lunatics. I wanna be a part of this red mask mob.
You can create again now. I mean, I'm not sure how well vigilante justice would do these days versus then, but
thank you for giving me your blessing to start a gang.
I'm now an accomplice, right? There's literally evidence of me supporting this. Yeah.
So on May 22nd, 1868, the Reno gang picked their target, the last train of the day. It's 11 p.m. when the train stops at Marshfield. 6 of the Renos lay camouflaged in the dense, swampy area around the station. They wait for the engineer and some of his crew to disembark from the train. Time to strike. The 6 Renos easily overpower the engineer and his men, taking control of the engine. In a lucky break, the Adams Express car is linked right behind the engine, so to lose extra weight, they uncouple the engine and their target car from the rest of the train. They book it to Seymour. They could have reached 60 miles per hour.
Oh, wow. So that's fast. Faster than before.
As the train accelerates, 4 gang members break into the Adams Express car. But the messenger is waiting inside, and he's not going down without a fight. He's armed. It opens fire when the door opens. He's a terrible shot and immediately gets pistol whipped for his trouble. Then they toss him out of the moving train. So not a good job, but good thing he had a gun, I guess.
They probably didn't kill him, though, right? So I guess that's actually you would assume they just shot him to death, but to just throw him out of a moving train, maybe he broke some bones. In terms
You're
of people
right.
who've come in across the Reno gang and could not live to tell the tale, this guy's lucky. He shot at them and somehow survived.
You're right. That's so generous of
So
them.
ouch, but it could have been a major ouch.
With their only adversary out of the way, the gang takes their time rooting through the safes. No grabbing dollar canvas bags this time.
Aw.
They stop the train 6 miles away from Seymour, where more of the gang waits on horseback. They manage to steal $96,000 in government bonds and cash, which is $2.2 million today, the largest haul of their career.
I believe it. That's a ton of money to carry on a train.
Yeah, but then they go out on horses? Yeah, how do they carry it all? So Reno is up 2, Adams Express 0.
Oh, the score has shifted. I see what's happening here.
Mm-hmm. Will the Pinkertons catch up with him now? Despite arrests and threats from an angry mob, the Renos keep sticking it in everyone's faces. But with a gang this large, you're bound to find a loose end. More on that after the break.
Be right back.
Here's what some people are saying about the Projection Booth podcast.
This podcast takes no shortcut in producing outstanding content. How they haven't become more widely recognized is beyond me.
I love this show. Smart commentary, in-depth interviews, and great production.
It's obvious how serious these guys take their podcast and bring that next level of professionalism that anyone would be hard-pressed to match.
There are few things better in life than listening to people who are both passionate and knowledgeable about their subject matter. The Projection Booth, with their wide and wild range of film discussions, is one of those things. Simple as that.
The Projection Booth is the highest quality film podcast around. I love the focus on cult films, witty, informative banter, and amazing interviews. The Projection Booth is the best podcast out there if you're a serious film lover.
The Projection Booth Podcast, with new episodes available every week at projectionboothpodcast.com.
Howdy, Heist Clubbers. We're back. After their daring escape from jail, the Renos completed the largest robbery of their career. That was $2.2 million today, leaving the Pinkertons scrambling for leads on where they might strike next. Take that, Pinkertons. After the gang divides the $96,000, that was how much it was worth then, the brothers decide it's time to lay low for a bit. Finally, we'll see if we believe him this time. Older brother Frank and some of the gang head to Canada, while Simeon and William stick to Indianapolis. But not everyone got the memo. We have a rogue faction. Frank Sparks, Volney Elliott, John Moore, Charles Roseberry, Henry Jarrell, and Theodore Clifton went back to Jackson County. Okay, so there's our rogue faction. Yeah, so this rogue faction, they're not family. Their only loyalty is to money. And their haul wasn't enough. They want more. How was that not enough? I mean, I know it was a lot of members, so I don't know if it was a full 50 at this point. It probably was less, but that's a good amount of money
that's
to
the
divide.
only life they know is the next thing and the next thing.
Yeah.
What do you do with themselves when the dog catches the car?
Oh, yeah, the dog catches the... Yeah. You go to Canada. You go to Indianapolis. Nope, not these guys. So their haul wasn't enough. They want more, and they're going to do the usual. Board a train, hold it up, toss the loot, and get out of Dodge. But this time, the plan has one more step. Bring in an outsider. Oh, that's never gone wrong. They bribed the engineer to make this one a much cleaner job, or so they think. On the morning of July 9th, 1868, everything was going to plan. 5 of the men sit at the Brownstone station while Theodore Clifton waits a few miles away with the horses. When they board the train, John Moore, a former engineer, trades places with the engineer, and a little over a mile down the track, he brings the train to a halt. Without having to pistol whip anyone, they bust into the Adams Express car and find Pinkertons. Pinkertons waiting for them. How? The engineer they bribed, he immediately turned tail to the police. And this is why you don't bring in outsiders. 10 Pinkerton agents were more than willing to cram into the Adams Express car, and they waited with guns at the ready for the Reno gang to walk right into their trap. The moment the door opens, the Pinkertons open fire. All but one of the gang members are hit, and they bail out of the thankfully stopped train. They just have to get to the horses. They'll be home free, but the Pinkertons are fast, very fast, and also not riddled with bullet wounds. That helps. They manage to capture one. Volney Elliot, whatever Volney is short for, he squeals immediately, as a Volney does.
Voldemort, obviously.
Voldemort squealed in exchange for leniency. So then the Pinkertons pick up Theodore Clifton and Charles Roseberry the next day, thanks to Elliot's tip. All three are tossed in Seymour's jail. Not Seymour's jail. I don't know who Seymour is. They're tossed in the Seymour jail. Seymour! And then hopefully Elliot was in a different cell, though, because they'd be like, wait, you squealed on us. Upon the announcement of the capture, the Daily Sentinel, this is a newspaper, not something else, declared the best thing that could be done for Seymour would be to hang the leading scoundrels and drive the others away, which we are glad to see the citizens are now likely to do. Wow. So they're just out in the open, even though they're wearing masks.
Yep.
So doesn't look so good for the trio. So much for Elliot's leniency, too. On the night of July 20th, Clifton, Roseberry, and Elliot board an O&M train, not to steal it this time. They're headed to Brownstown Jail. They sit handcuffed when the train suddenly stops. They must be peeing themselves. A dozen men wearing scarlet red bandanas over their faces board the train, and the Jackson County Vigilance Committee is here. Here they are. They overpower the guards and take Clifton, Roseberry, and even Voldemort, even Volney, outside, where they are greeted by a sea of scarlet masks. Not a shocker. Hundreds of furious citizens who are out for blood. Blood the color of their masks, if you would.
Yeah.
So all three, including Voldemort, were hung on a beech tree. Beech, B-E-E-C-H. They're not near the ocean. On a beech tree. Clifton apparently wept, begging for his freedom. Roseberry was silent, and Volney apparently yelled out, "Confess, hell! I'll tell you nothing. You've got me here, 1,000 of you. Now do your worst." So they did. The newspaper wrote that they struggled greatly and died hard. The next day, the Pinkertons capture Frank Sparks and John Moore and Henry Jarrell in Illinois because Jarrell had apparently sent a letter, which was easily intercepted. Who did he send the letter to? History lost that answer, but it must have been important enough to risk your freedom, or you'd hope so. They're brought to Seymour, the city, not the person. They're brought to Seymour by train without a problem. All the sheriff has to do is transport them to the Brownstown jail. Let's use a wagon instead, under the cover of night. And then on the night of July 25th, as the guards take them to Brownstown, a mob of 100 scarlet masked men silently surround the wagon. These guys are good. They really know how to find them, huh? They swiftly overpower the guards and drive the wagon back to the beech tree. Yep, that's right, the same beech tree. To Sparks, Moore, and Henry's horror, they're greeted by the hanging corpses of their comrades. They knew this was coming, too. The Vigilance Committee actually made sure to leave room for them. So Sparks, Moore, and Henry are properly hung. So the Pinkertons may have failed to keep 6 of their suspects alive, but it's no time to sit on past mistakes. It's time to get the Reno brothers.
It's time! On July 27th, the Pinkertons track down Simeon and William in their Indianapolis hideout. Note to self, don't make it rain on the gambling scene if you're a fugitive. Yeah, you showy thieves. Especially if you're at your favorite gambling spot. The Jackson County Vigilance Committee promptly announced that they would raid the jail and hang the Reno boys like they did the others. Terrified for her brother's lives, Laura begs the Indiana governor to protect them. A militia was even raised to fight off vigilantes, and the governor declared a state of insurrection. The newspaper predicted that an army of hangmen is expected hourly. That is ominous. To be safe, Simeon and William are transferred to a new, sturdier jail 30 miles away in New Albany. With that out of the way, the Pinkertons locate Frank Reno, Charlie Anderson, and Albert Perkins in Windsor, a Canadian border town next to Detroit. Should have gone further north.
Well, probably. Windsor is actually south of Detroit, which is so interesting because that's how the landmass works.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, Pinkerton has one problem. He can't just drag them back to Indiana. He has to do a lot of stuff. He faces a new challenge, government red tape. First, he sends a formal arrest warrant to the Secretary of State. Then, the Secretary of State writes to Canada, who passes it to Britain, who then writes back to the Secretary of State. all at 1868 speed. So very slowly. It took so long that Alan Pinkerton survived 2 assassination attempts by the Renos. Finally, in October, Frank Reno and his buddies are released to Alan Pinkerton's custody. They join Simeon and William in the fortified jail. Pinkerton advises Sharon Full in Love.
Full in love.
Full in love.
It's actually one word. It's not full in, it's full in love. Sheriff Full in Love.
I love it.
Yeah.
Seems like such a jolly, lovable person.
He was actually a terrible, terrible sheriff, I heard. He just murdered people left and right. But whenever it was time to vote for sheriff, it was like, oh, how could I not vote for Full in Love?
Yeah. Pinkerton advises Sheriff Full in Love to move them to an even bigger jail in Indianapolis. But Full in Love says it's fine. He's full of love. He thinks everything's
he's
fine.
like, no, everyone gets along. Come on. Nothing's going to happen to them.
They're surrounded by militiamen. There's no way the Vigilance Committee will get them before trial. Sounds like a challenge to me.
Yeah.
On the night of December 11th, the Vigilance Committee goes into action. About 80 men board a train leaving Seymour, packing it to the brim. The lights stay off and the whistle never once blows. Very ominous.
Yeah.
A silent train full of sweaty people. They arrive at New Albany at 3 a.m., December 12th.
So they're out for blood, these guys. They're literally about to go to trial. You know, everyone's involved. They're in the big city. And they're like, no, we don't trust you. We got to do it. We got to murder them.
Yeah.
They burned their houses a long time ago.
They arrive at New Albany at 3 a.m., December 12th. They split into groups led by squad leaders with the words, Salus Populi Suprema Lex. The wish of all the people is the supreme law written on their backs. That's what that means.
Is it tattooed? I imagine like they all have like matching tattoos.
They all have face tattoos.
I guess it's just written. I guess they just like found some Sharpies and wrote them in the back of their shirts.
Yeah, it was in Sharpie.
Yeah.
Armed with guns and clubs, they march through the streets of New Albany, arresting citizens and holding them at the courthouse. The rest of the mob surrounds the jailhouse and breaks down the fortified door. They cut the telegraph wire and seize Sheriff Full in Love, and his wife, double aw.
Oh, Mrs.
Full in Love refuses to hand over the keys.
Oh, Mrs. Full in Love.
I know. Of course it's a Mrs. Full in Love. They're in love.
Yeah. High school sweethearts is what I've heard. Yeah.
Full in Love refuses to hand over the keys, so they beat him and shoot him in the arm. Take that, Full Love. Now you're full of
lead.
Yeah. His wife hands over the keys after they threaten to kill the sheriff. It's not so cute now, is it? No. Now holding the keys, the mob goes cell by cell until they reach their target. The brothers fight valiantly, but it was no use. They hung together inside the jailhouse. The Reno brothers are dead.
Wow.
They got him. The Scarlet Masks ride again.
Do we think they retire now? I mean, I know we're not telling the story of the Scarlet Masks. I'm assuming they go on, but like, what do you do? Like, wait, the dog caught the car. It's like, what do you do when you've achieved your goal? Like, what happens now?
What do you do when the angry mob isn't angry anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure they just sat and gathered and then probably found someone else to get angry about.
Yeah, they probably moved to another town or something.
It's rumored that Laura made a fake gravesite and actually buried them in another town to keep her brother's bodies safe. To this day, the gravesite is surrounded by an open field because no one in the town wanted to bury their loved ones near the Renos. A few months later, the Jackson County Vigilance Committee releases a statement published in the New York Times. Do not trifle with us, for if you do, we will follow you to the bitter end and give you a short shrift and hempen collar. As to this, our actions in the past will be a guarantee of our conduct in the future. Pretty threatening. Hempen collar being a synonym for noose. Short shrift and hempen collar.
Well, I guess we didn't really get into it, but clearly the Reno gang was, famous nationwide. I mean, to be the first ones to rob a train, but also for the Jackson County Vigilance Committee to have a statement published in the New York Times. It was newsworthy enough for that to be in there. So
that's a good point, yeah.
And I wonder if anyone ever tried to mess with them again.
You're right. I don't know. The ropes on the beech tree were left up for years as a warning to hopeful train robbers and outlaws. However, it became a popular tourist spot and people would snatch pieces of rope. Someone, possibly Laura, burned it down. Or the Vigilance Committee were so angry that the Reno gang became a fun tourist destination that they burned the tree. Who knows? Another mystery. Even though prison sucks, it helped John survive the mob. He was released from prison in 1878, only serving 10 years. Then he wrote a book in 1879, a year later, about his and his brother's antics. He opened up a bar with Clint. It went belly up pretty quick, though. And then he died in 1895 and was secretly buried with his brothers.
Aww.
I guess it wasn't too secret because we're talking about it.
Wait, Jesse, you weren't supposed to tell anyone.
The Renos were trendsetters and kicked off a wave of train robberies peaking in the 1890s. Alan Pinkerton has the Renos to thank for his agency skyrocketing into notoriety. The Renos also inspired the federal government to begin developing interstate crime enforcement. In the film world, they inspired the 1903 film The Great Train Robbery and made Elvis Presley's acting debut as Honest Clint in Love Me Tender.
That's crazy. I did not know that.
They may have been overshadowed by the James Brothers, Butch Cassidy, and Billy the Kid, but sometimes nothing is better than the original. They marked the birth of the American Outlaw Gang and made nearly what would be $5 million today doing it. Not bad for small-town Indiana. That's the story for today. Let's go to our diamond rating.
Let's cut some diamonds.
Let's cut some diamonds and then rate them.
Cut some diamonds. So out of 5
this is a
diamonds,
different one. It's hard to judge. Yeah,
there's a lot here. I mean, it's not just one big heist. We did tell the first train, moving train robbery story. That's the biggest one of the group, if you would. But there was a lot of heist packed in here. A lot of deeds. This is not a one last job situation. This is our career. It's the Old West, and we're gonna get as many done as we can. So, what are you thinking, Jesse?
Right. I don't know. Which heist am I judging? They definitely got away with it for a while.
Man, a lot of money for that time.
Yeah, they made millions.
$5 million. I mean, I know that's in today dollars, but I feel like they really racked it up on train to train and treasury to treasury and post office to post office.
I'll give them a 4 for being successful career criminals.
Yeah. It's tricky because it's a different type of getaway story, right? Because they were wanted for a long time and got away for a long time. It wasn't one crime and, DNA evidence and,
right.
This is a very different situation. But it's also interesting when people literally know who's doing it and still can't get them arrested. Is that more impressive, right?
Yeah,
you're not even trying to hide who you are.
Time, I guess.
Right? I mean, they're not
yeah,
they're theoretically not telling everyone what they're doing every time, but everyone knows. They rule small town Indiana. I'm gonna go 4.5.
Okay.
Again, I just think that they set the bar for train robberies. So a lot of time they managed a big group, as many as 50 members. Got away with it for a long time. Obviously, most of them got hung in the end. So, I wouldn't say it was a happy ending. But I don't know, they even broke themselves out of prison certain times. Just feels like they're these are OG robbers, They set the bar. Legends never die. I mean, they do on a beech tree with the rest of their brothers, but still, legends never die.
The legend lives on. Yeah, 4.5 is a solid
It's
choice,
high.
I think.
It's high, but I'm doing it. I'm going there.
I approve of that extra 0.5 you gave them over mine.
Thank you. Anyway, listeners, if we have some questions for you, hey, Heist Clubbers, if your older siblings avoided you joining their gang, would you be a William or would you be a Clint? Are you a Carrie or are you a Samantha? No. Are you a William or are you a Clint? Are you an honest Clint? I'd like to be Clint and played by Elvis Presley one day. I don't know who played William. I mean, I guess also, if you knew the Vigilance Committee was coming for you, would you really, ever come back to town? I guess they did. They got pulled back from Canada, right? But there is something about, stealing a lot of money and then not being able to quit. That is a tricky thing. Also, listeners, have you ever heard of the Reno gang before? Was this all new information to you? If you'd heard of them, tell us how. Again, I think we went into this thinking, let's do a James gang story. Then we realized, they weren't even the originators of this. Let's start with the Reno gang. Not as well known and
yeah, I thought
in some ways more successful.
I thought for sure there'd be a famous movie that I never heard of, but only the Elvis one.
Well, that's the story of the Reno gang. So if there's any message to take away from this, never let your child steal their horse and go to New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if you're a fan of the show, please join the club. You could follow us at Heist Club Pod on Letterboxd for all the movies we reference, which is honestly a lot. And also catch us on Instagram and TikTok. That's also at Heist Club Pod. Join the club. Ride a horse. You can lead a horse to water, but can you make it listen to your podcast? We will answer that question once and for all.
And tune in next week for how surfer dudes managed to run off with a bundle of precious gems.
So long, partners.
So long, partners.
Heist Club is a production of School of Humans, hosted by me, Todd Weiser.
And me, Jesse Nicemonger. I do all the fancy audio and music editing too.
This episode was researched and produced by Carolyn Talmadge. Our senior producer is Amelia Brock.
Our production manager is Daisy Church. Our executive producers are Virginia Prescott, Brandon Barr, and Elsie Crowley.
Join us again next week for Heist Club, and don't forget to rate and review. Thanks.